Hi, I'm Greg. God is on mission to reconcile all things to Himself, and He invites us to be a part. As a new creation, that's your identity, an ambassador in Christ, is it better to preach all the time or to ask questions? That is a question, right? So is it better to preach or to ask questions? And I want to share with you this really easy way to share your faith. And it's through the power of asking questions. Asking questions. And so I just asked you a question, but wherever I go, I ask questions. I don't start off preaching. Preaching's good. It declares our faith and all, but we begin a relationship by asking questions. Jesus Himself even asked questions. He said, "Who do you say that I am?" And then He would give the answer. Or sometimes people would come up to Him and ask Him a question, and He would turn right back around and say, "Let me ask you a question, and then I'll answer your question." So let me make this really simple for you. So when I gave you my testimony before, when I became a Christian, I became a Christ follower, somebody asked me a question. They said, "If you were to die today, would you go to heaven?" And then I answered that question, "Yes, I think so." And then the person was very wise. He said, "Yeah, that's very good, but do you think there's something else you could do?" And he talked to me about the grace of God and about how Jesus Christ. And so he preached after he shared the message. So this is a very simple thing. So when you're sharing your testimony, ask questions. When you go up to somebody to share about Jesus, ask questions. This shows that you're interested in them. And find their need. Find their need. When I'm going to somebody, the first thing that I do is I ask them, do you have any problems in your life? What is your need? And then they'll say, "Oh yes, I have a physical ailment, or I have financial problems." And then I ask them a question. I ask for permission. I said, "May I pray for you? Do I have your permission?" I'm asking that question. Do I have your permission to pray for you for God to meet that need? And then once I pray for them, then I ask them another question. Can I share with you the biggest miracle that's ever happened in my life? I ask that question and go there. So these are people that have a lot of times that have already heard about Jesus. But when I go to Southeast Asia, and when I share in Southeast Asia, I don't say, "Give your heart over to Jesus Christ." They have no idea who Jesus Christ is. So I have to ask them, I have to start all the way in the beginning. Do you know how the earth was created? How do you think that the first man and woman came to this earth? Did you know that there is a flood on the earth? So I'm always asking questions and then responding, giving them an opportunity to respond. So I want to share with you just a few powerful questions from Matthew 16:15. Who do you say that Jesus is? From Ecclesiastes 3:11. Who do you think gives meaning and purpose? From Jeremiah 2:13 and Matthew 11:28. Why do you think good people still feel empty and restless? How about this one? What do you think happens after death? Hebrews 9:27. Or when have you felt, this is a good one, when have you felt closest to God? That's a really good one. Or I like to ask, where are you in your spiritual journey with Christ? Here's another one. If you could ask God one question, what would it be? And that's from James 1:5. And then here's one more. Why do you think God sent Jesus instead of just leaving us as we are? That's John 3:16, of course. And then finally, who else in your life needs to experience the hope you found in Christ Jesus? Asking questions, meeting needs, a lot better than preaching. And this is how you can effectively be an ambassador of Christ and even go towards making an eternal impact in people's lives and in your life. This will give you fulfillment. God bless you.